We have a great demo day for you. I'm really, really excited about. For those of you who don't know me, I'm Chris Lestrino. I'm the founder and CEO of Kingscrowd. It's been our mission since day one to really provide investors with the tools and resources that you need to make informed investment decisions in this market. Um, and we do that through all of our data tools and our ratings and our analytics and our Kingscrowd Capital Fund. But we love these demo days as an opportunity to bring to life everything that it is that we do, right? There's so much you look at on a screen and you look at the data and you look at the fundamentals, but it really is the humans behind it that make all of this come to life. And we know that it's really important for investors to have an opportunity to interact more intimately with the actual founders that you're backing when you're making an investment. So this is a great opportunity to highlight some of the best companies we think are currently available for investment based on our ratings, our analysis, interest, performance of their current funding round, so on and so forth. And before we get into that, I just want to thank our sponsor, Capital Department, and Maria Springer. She and her team are terrific, and they really work with issuers to have them accomplish successful campaigns. But more importantly, she works tirelessly to have those founders be interactive, open, and accessible to investors. And it's something that I've always appreciated about her and her firm. And some of her clients are here today. And if you're ever looking to really invest in your own campaign, if you're a founder on this call and you're thinking about launching a Reg CF or Reg A Plus offering, I highly advise that you work with an expert in the space. And Maria is one of those terrific individuals and terrific organizations that really does tremendous work in the space and has really helped to elevate the space with the quality of deal flow that she's worked with over the years. So we have 6 presenting companies today. They're going to be 5-minute pitches, followed by Q&A from the crowd. I just ask that you drop your questions into the Q&A section. Today, we're really going to try and focus on crowd-focused questions. We've heard from folks before that they want to have an opportunity to ask more questions rather than hearing from us. So we're going to hand it over to all of you and want to hear from all of you what questions you have for each founder. So as you're pitching, feel free to say, hey, here's my question in the Q&A section or in the chat section, and we'll work to get to as many of those as we can. The thing that excites me most about this lineup here today, right, is the breadth of companies that we have on the call. From edtech, healthcare, robotics, clothing, there's just so many different things, millions of dollars in revenue, early stage companies, pre-revenue, deep R&D technology companies, so on and so forth. And 3 of the companies on this call today are actually recent additions to the Kingscrowd Capital portfolio, which we're pretty proud of. So if you want to follow our investment strategy, you're going to have an opportunity to hear which of those companies they are and invest alongside us. And lastly, I want you to all know that we'll be offering free access to the reports on each of these companies. So you get deeper insights on each one and also kind of come to understand better for those who haven't used Kingscrowd before, what we're all about and how we work. So with that, I'm going to introduce our first founder here, and Michael with Kinetic, who is one of our latest Kingscrowd Capital investments. You are up.
Thanks so much, Chris. Yeah, great to be here. Thanks for hosting us. Let me share my screen. Okay, yeah, so I'm Mike. We're from Kinetic, and what we're doing is tackling climate change with a radically better grid energy storage technology. Now, picture an energy storage added to the substation of every district of every town and city. Now, that's what the transition to a decarbonized energy grid looks like. Every dot on this map is a substation. That purple cluster is 200 substations in the greater Sacramento area alone. So this is a massive, massive undertaking, but it's also a $1 trillion plus opportunity that we are addressing. So lithium-ion batteries are today's grid storage technology. But many consider their downside to be a total contradiction to decarbonization. There's the environmental and human costs of lithium, rare earths, and other metals mining. And the cells are almost certainly imported from China because lithium-ion LFP is a China-controlled technology. There's almost no meaningful production in the US. And the finished product is an extreme type of fire risk. The recent fire in Moss Landing burnt for 30 hours and affected 100,000 people. Now, Kinetic solves these problems by eliminating electrochemicals entirely. Instead, we store vast amounts of energy mechanically in the form of kinetic energy stored in the supersonic spinning of our composite rotor. Now, Kinetic is half the price of today's lithium-ion batteries, But Kinetic's superpower is that it can handle unlimited daily cycling with zero degradation. We call it the infinite battery. Now, technically, performance-wise, the biggest drawback of lithium-ion batteries is low cycle life and degradation. This chart illustrates that most batteries on the grid are still young, and we're just at the beginning of the great degradation. Now, battery OEMs know this problem. So what they typically do is they limit OEMs to, the OEMs would limit the operators to only cycle once a day in order to stretch out the calendar life of the system. But that's a problem for two reasons. First of all, is because grids everywhere need twice daily cycling in order to match supply with demand. And secondly, and this is the most important thing to understand, is that battery operators make money by cycling. So Kinetic's multi-cycling capability multiplies the revenue opportunity for operators. And that is the feature that gets customers excited, which is why we already have in excess of $100 million of signed letters of intent. So we filed 3 patents against our bearing and rotor innovations. And we've built our scale prototype, proving our core technologies and our unique design approach to this problem. So it's currently operating at 5,000 RPM and discharging 5.5 kilowatts of power, but this is really just the beginning. Soon, in the coming weeks, we'll be spinning at 12,000 RPM, which is our full production speed. And our first serial product that you can see in these images, which we're building this summer, will have 50 times the energy capacity at 1 megawatt hour. So that's the product. Now, let me tell you a quick story about 2 different towns who both invest in energy storage in order to decarbonize their local grid. One invests in lithium-ion batteries and the other invests in Kinetic. So the first town, the lithium-ion batteries are cycling once a day, discharging clean power for 4 hours every evening. But shortly after installation, they suffer a huge setback because there's a fire. So there's downtime and they have to replace the systems. Now, after several years, due to declining energy capacity, they have to augment the system by bringing in new batteries and adding them to the system. They do this once more during the life of the system until finally it's no longer economically viable to do that. And the degradation just continues until end of life at 15 years, at which time the whole system is disposed of and replaced. Meanwhile, the other town is a different story. First of all, Kinetic costs less to purchase. Now, it does take more time to install, but the result is really popular with the people in the town because it's almost totally hidden underground. Planning is also easier because the fire department are happy that there's absolutely no fire risk from Kinetic. And it's cycling twice a day, 4 hours in the morning and 4 hours in the evening. So the operators make their money back twice as fast. And over the years, no matter how much they cycle it, there's no signs of energy degradation. So after 15 years, Kinetic Corporation come along, change a few electrical components, and it continues running for another 15 years. Meanwhile, after these 3 decades of continuous operation are up, at the first town with the lithium-ion batteries, they're now looking at installing their 3rd round of batteries. So the question is, which technology would you rather be invested in? So we're now currently raising our seed round on the WeFunder platform, and this will bring us to delivery of our serial product to our first US customers and the start of production and the start of revenue. So I welcome you to take a look and welcome your questions. Thank you.
Terrific, Michael. Thank you so much. And great presentation there. One question that has come through, and please enter more of your questions if you have any, is your business model. Is this a one-time charge that folks are paying, or is there some sort of servicing agreement in place for the life cycle of these batteries? Or not batteries, but storage
Yeah,
devices?
we can consider a mechanical battery, so saying batteries is okay. Okay, so our business model actually is evolving in stages. So the first stage absolutely is a hardware play. So we're focused right now on getting the best possible product into the market. So our first business model is essentially selling hardware. But on top of that, we're also planning a software model, which is all about optimization of the system. And that will give us recurring revenue as operators subscribe to our software platform to optimize. And eventually, what we'd like to do is actually operate our own energy storage systems where customers actually don't have to buy the system. They can essentially pay to operate power by the hour. So we are the owners, and customers can operate a sort of virtual energy storage system, and we will manage it on their behalf.
Understood. And another question that's come through is, what is the plan? How will you put the $5 million raise to work?
Right. Okay. So during the course of this year and the first half of next year, we'll be developing this, which is our serial product. So the funds go towards building this, prototyping. We're doing multiple prototypes during the course of this year, testing the systems, and then installing our first pilot project. So the first pilot project initially will be just 2 systems, and then later on expanding that out to anywhere between 8 and 40 units in total. So that's fewer than this in this image, but it will end up looking like this. So that's where the money's going.
Got it. And last question we have for you here. Can you give more info on how you store the kinetic energy?
Yeah, actually, maybe this is a good moment for Loic to jump in and just kind of explain the basics and the physics behind it.
Hello, everyone. I'm Loic, the CTO of Kinetic. So the way the energy is stored is very simple. We convert the electrical energy in mechanical energy through the electrical motor. That's going to power the system, make the rotor spin, and we spin faster and faster, which means more kinetic energy stored in the system. We keep the energy in the system because we have very low losses bearing. Basically, we are suspending the rotor in a vacuum system, suspended with a permanent magnet, and it's not touching anything. It's guided fully magnetically, which remove all the losses. That means the rotor can spin in this environment for a very long time with very low losses. When we need the energy back out, we're going to decelerate the rotor and using the motor as a generator to suck the energy out of the rotor and creating the electricity. It works a little bit like an electric car. When you accelerate, you transfer the electrical energy into kinetic energy of your car, and when you brake, you can revert the energy and charge your battery back. It's working the similar way.
Incredible. Well, thank you both so very much for your time today. Thanks for your wonderful presentation. We've dropped the link to the report in the chat, so feel free to go check them out and learn more. So you have an opportunity to invest alongside Kingscrowd Capital that recently invested in the current round of funding. Next up, we have Praveen with Name Coach. And just for you all to know, this is another interesting one because Name Coach is actually a testing the waters, which means that they're currently exploring around. You can indicate your interest and make a reservation, but they haven't fully launched their round. But it's really unique. It's kind of like a first look at a potential upcoming investment opportunity. So we're excited to have you on. And Dr. Praveen, I'll give you the floor.
Hey everybody, can you hear me okay? Awesome.
Yes, we can.
Well, nice to meet you all. I'm very glad to be here. My name is Praveen, and I'm the founder and CEO of Name Coach. I'm thrilled to be here today to share with you how we are breaking barriers with voice AI, starting with one simple idea, important in almost endless context, which is that people love to hear their name said correctly. So every year, 143 million attempts are made at names that people don't know every day. And a staggering 30 million of those are mispronounced on a daily basis. And this is a big problem for reasons that people aren't really thinking about too often. It's more than just an awkward moment and an instant trust is lost. Studies show how repeated mispronunciations hurt confidence, reduce engagement, and close doors to opportunities. And this is a massive $11 billion opportunity that has been overlooked for far too long. NameCoach fixes this with our AI-powered name pronunciation. Our software basically integrates seamlessly into the tools people use every day across schools, businesses, call centers, healthcare, and more, ensuring names are spoken correctly every time. The result is stronger connections, better trust, and measurable ROI. And companies are taking notice. We already serve over 400 higher ed and enterprise clients and over 4 million users, transforming how those users communicate by making it easy to hear and learn the right pronunciation for every person they're interacting with. And we deliver this through finely tuned AI recommendations and user verified pronunciations. And so for businesses, universities, and other organizations we work with, this helps create a welcoming environment where everyone feels seen and feels valued. And this creates meaningfully better interactions across virtually every sector for lots of different use cases, from student experience to corporate culture. We have customers in sales using us for customer experience, talent acquisition, patient experience, and the list goes on. And that's why we have over, as I said, 400 customers, many of them Fortune 500s and top institutions like Stanford, Procter & Gamble, the American Medical Association, and many others who trust Namecoach. And while it's super simple for the end user, there's actually a lot going on under the hood. We're continuously leveraging the latest advancements in voice AI infrastructure and finely tuning that based on our proprietary data and developing new techniques at the cutting edge of the voice AI space. And all this expertise has helped us earn multiple awards and recognition in various outlets like Forbes and TechCrunch and more. And as AI is commodified, we've all seen that happening, especially the past several weeks. The key to creating value for customers, for users, and ultimately enterprise value for our shareholders lies in the data and the application layer. We already integrate with major platforms like Salesforce, Canvas, and with every new tool that we integrate with, our technology is spreading organically, and it's creating a self-reinforcing cycle where the adoption trains our system with curated data to be even better, and that fuels even more adoption. And because names matter everywhere, we're just getting started. We're constantly expanding, bringing Namecoach to even more platforms so that our product can integrate across a range of areas: CRM systems, conference platforms, patient systems, HR software, you name it. We operate on a high margin enterprise SaaS model. We have over 4 million in ARR right now, an 85% gross profit margins on par with some of the best in class SaaS companies. And this subscription-based approach ensures we have strong customer retention and scalable revenue growth. And we're rapidly developing new products and features like our Namecoach AI for events, which I'm very excited about. We're launching that this quarter. We're developing deep partnerships with major tech players. We have a Q1 being finalized right now that will immediately get Namecoach into the hands of 35 million users. And so through expansions like this, we're on track for 20 million revenue, basically 5xing our current revenue by the end of 2027. And beyond enterprise SaaS, we're actually unlocking new revenue streams. We have an API model to integrate Namecoach with third-party products like Twilio and Stripe, like their models. We have a freemium model for mass adoption. And we're looking now at licensing our system within this exploding voice AI ecosystem. And that voice AI market is expected to hit 100 billion. And we are uniquely positioned to lead the way in truly personalizing how communication is done in that market. This is a key frontier in this voice AI revolution. By solving the name pronunciation problem first, which is a hard problem with our ever-expanding and unique data set, specialized for names, specialized for speech-related cultural nuance, specialized for accents. We're essentially building a scalable foundation that allows us to expand into these broader AI-driven communication solutions. And that's essentially, from my perspective, how some of the best tech companies have operated. They started by solving one problem better than anyone else. Grammarly did this with writing, Twilio with messaging, and we're doing it with voice AI. And so I'll use Grammarly as an example. Much like they expanded from a narrow focus on simple grammar and spelling to a much broader focus on writing excellence in general, we're leveraging our market position with Namecoach sitting everywhere voice interactions are occurring, as well as the advanced voice technology we're naturally developing for names to keep expanding our service offerings, all towards enabling more personal, more respectful, and more meaningful communication for both humans and AI. We're proud to be backed by these top investors who I think know how to spot game-changing innovation. These funds have helped scale industry leaders like Spotify, Airbnb, OpenAI, Line, and they've recognized our potential to scale fast and bring better communication to the world. Our leadership team brings deep expertise in AI, business strategy, and scaling technology companies. My background is as a Stanford lecturer. Our engineering advisor, John Merrills, has led 16 startup exits worth over 8.3 billion. And our head of finance, Flavia Cruz, has managed billion-dollar mergers, many of them, and corporate strategies for large corporations. If you'd like to learn more or would like to invest or indicate interest as we're testing the waters, please visit wefinder.com/namecoach. You can scan our QR code. And by joining us now, you're joining us on a journey of shaping the future of AI-powered communication, but really with the vision of making sure that every interaction is more personal, more genuine, and more meaningful. So thank you very much.
Tremendous. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. A couple questions coming from the crowd here. What does your business model look like? Do you charge by the number of employees, the size of the firm, or by the number of client interactions?
Right now, with the annual subscription business model, we are charging by the population. So it's either the number of employees, the number of students at a school. In some instances, that if that population is, or if the product we've sold is relevant to, say, sales or customer experience, we will charge by the number of people they're reaching out to or number of people in their database. That's a relatively newer version of the model that we're testing out, but overall, it is population-based.
And what other verticals do you see that are ripe for NameCoach to go after?
Yeah, I mean, like I said, there's a ton of verticals that we've had actually inbound interest in. We're talking to folks in the government sector right now, talking to people who want to use this for recruiting. So we're looking at integrating into applicant tracking systems to make sure that first impression for a new applicant in your company is good. We have 3 healthcare systems who are in the pipeline right now. So we're looking at integrating into electronic medical record systems, MyChart, that kind of thing for them. Yeah, it just spans a range of sectors. Call centers is also a big one right now that we're talking to some folks. So people both doing inbound and outbound. Yeah, we just keep getting new use cases every few months.
And the last question here, is there any challenges, because there's probably not a traditional budget set out for this type of thing, in selling into large corporations?
Sure. Yeah, there definitely can be challenges. Sometimes we have to wait a budget cycle to see people find the budget for it. But the great thing about it is that our price point is set that it's often an easy kind of no-brainer sale for a lot of these folks, and they have budget set aside more generally for some things like employee experience, or even sometimes it just comes out of the general technology budget. So it can be a challenge sometimes, but often we can pull budget from other areas.
Terrific. Well, thank you so much. Really appreciate it. A very, very interesting company. Next up, we have Hidden with Rise Robotics. You are up. The floor is yours.
Thanks, Chris. Just give me a minute here to get my presentation set up. All right, just want to make sure you're all able to see my screen. Excellent.
Yes.
My name is Hiten Sanpal. I'm the new CEO of Rise Robotics. I was brought on board by the founding team last year to accelerate commercialization of Rise's technology. I'm excited to pitch Rise to savvy analysts and investors like you. I say savvy because you figured out that the VC space is in transition due to high interest rates and that there are deals available to you through Reg CF that you previously wouldn't have access to, right? And what better place to learn about the best deals than Kingscrowd, the Bloomberg of crowdfunding. Kingscrowd rated us 4.8 out of 5 stars, and that assessment has largely been confirmed by other investors like you. 40% of our round was sold out even before we announced this rating, and it's been less than a month since launch. With that, let me jump in to talk about our traction till date. Rise has generated 7.3 million in total revenues. We've got over 20 patents covering several aspects of our core technology, creating a strong defensive moat to our business. We work with world-class organizations, including Gates, U.S. Air Force, Anthony Lifgates, and Danfoss, and we expect to add another big brand here in the next month. And we've raised 22 million from prominent investors like The Engine, built by MIT, Techstars, Gates Foundation, and Fortistar. Rise is a clean tech company. We're addressing the challenges of electrification of heavy machines. Heavy machines are outdated, inefficient, dirty, and dangerous. The primary muscle or actuating technology used in this industry is hydraulics, but in many respects, it's outdated. Hydraulic systems consume an insane amount of diesel, are energy inefficient, emit 500 million tons of carbon dioxide every year, and leak 100 million gallons of oil a year. This results in high operating costs, not to mention the environmental damage and the impact on climate change. We've invented a new technology that we call beltrolics. This system is a fully functioning alternative to hydraulics. We've taken out the oil in hydraulic systems and replaced it with belts and pulleys, hence the term beltrolics. There hasn't been a mechanical innovation like this in the last decade. Not only do we enable the electrification of heavy machinery, but machines built with beltrolics are AI and autonomy ready. Without our technology, electrification of heavy machinery is financially unviable. Compared to hydraulics, we're able to build machines that are 3 times faster, 3 times more efficient, up to 20% lighter, have half the operating costs. They're 100% fluid-free and 100% digital. I mentioned earlier that our technology makes electrification of heavy machinery viable. Why is that? Because the increased efficiency means that the batteries needed to electrify heavy machinery are half the size compared to a hydraulic system. Or if you kept the same size batteries, then you need half the size of the fleet for the same uptime. The product that you see here on the right is being developed for the Air Force. The DoD expects to purchase about $1 billion of these machines over the next decade, starting in 2027. And we have various levels of opportunity there. We could win just the cylinder, we could win the arm, which includes the cylinder and the lifting component, or we could win the whole system. The heavy machinery market that we're targeting is massive because it services big industries like construction, material extraction, logistics, etc. These industries form the backbone of our modern lifestyle, and this is where we need to innovate to overcome challenges like global warming. The combined market that we're addressing is more than $600 billion a year. We have a number of products in development that I'm excited about. These products are being co-developed with our partners, which allows us to get the specs right, ensure that there's a market, and share development costs, making us capital efficient. 1 year worth highlighting is 2025, this year, where we expect to launch our components business and the liftgate in Q3. Components are a $44 billion market, which is a compelling opportunity for us, and the liftgate will be our first commercial application of our technology, creating the credibility and market pull on our components. Our liftgate is revolutionary because of the technologies that powers it. Compared to the competition, it's better in multiple areas, but the key benefit is that it allows customers to make $90,000 more per year per route. Other opportunities for us include perpetual unloading machines, such as our forklift. These are not perpetual machines, but rather machines that are so efficient, they extract the electrical energy they need to operate from the potential energy in the items that they're lowering. We also enable teleop and autonomy through digital twins that are trivial with our technology, but extremely challenging to do with fluid power systems. We have ambitious plans for increasing sales in coming years. New product launches combined with geographic expansion will let us target 128 million in sales by 2029. About 100 million is expected to come from the liftgate, another 25 million from everything else, and then several million in contract and joint development revenues. The 4 founders of the company, Aaron, Blake, Tomas, and Kyle, are still with the team. They're graduates of MIT and the Rhode Island School of Design. Tom, the CEO, and I worked at iRobot, where we led teams that generated over 2 billion in revenues and shipped over 9 million units. Proud to have been selected CEO for such a fine organization and team. This team's experience is exactly what we need to be a leader in this space. Wanted to close by sharing something really important about this opportunity. I'm a commercialization leader. I'm transforming this company from an engineering company to a product company. So we're transitioning from pre-commercial revenues. Well, we already have DoD revenues, but pre-commercial revenues to post-commercial revenues. This inflection point in valuation only comes in a company's life once. So this is the only opportunity for you to get in before this inflection point. Our raise is on WeFunder, wefunder.com/riserobotics. You can also email me, and here's a QR code. With that, I'll open up to questions.
Terrific. Thank you so much. First question for you is, what are the challenges you're finding, moving from a really large organization and leading a large commercial organization to being at kind of a small startup in the grand scheme of things from where you were? And how do you think about that in terms of your approach to starting to grow this business?
Wow, you're not sparing any difficult questions here. Okay, so I'd say that in a larger organization, you have access to resource and expertise outside of your team, right? So you can reach into folks that have been in the organization for a long time. You also have existing products that you can, when you're launching the next one, you actually understand the customers, you understand the requirements, you understand the product line. So those are sort of two things in an established company that make things easier. So what I've done at Rise is we've built a network of consultants that can help us to sort of replicate the same kind of expertise that you might have in a larger organization. And then as far as it comes to getting the product out and getting the requirements right, we're doing a lot of things for the first time. And one of my personal strengths, is in defining the MVP for a product. So for example, when I joined the company, the lift gate was, if I asked the team, was 60% done. And so I looked to the requirements, I worked with customers, and I cut out 20% of the scope. So without spending a single dollar in development, I mean, it took some of my time, we went from 60% complete to 80% complete. And rather than taking the product to 100%, we're taking it to 90%, and we're signing up a pilot customer who'll tell us what of that last 10% is really important to them.
Understood. Another hard-hitting question, but I'll ask it so you have an opportunity to answer for it. Hidden, what is the math behind the WeFunder valuation?
Yes. So what we did was, rather than try to figure out the valuation ourselves, we opened up our last round. So our last round valuation, our last round share price is the same share price that our early bird investors have gotten. And then folks that come in on the standard deal have to pay roughly 15% higher. And that's to make up for the additional cost of doing a Reg CF round, which requires networking, which requires a process, requires an intermediary platform.
Got it. Last question for you here. Are you able to install these belt trollics to already existing machines as well? Please clarify. And also developing full machines too.
Yes. So installing in existing machines, it depends on where the cylinder is located. So if you think about an excavator, most of those cylinders are on the outside, and they're on the outside because hydraulic systems need a lot of maintenance. So they have to be on the outside. So that's where it's actually easy for us to put our technology in, because there's a lot of space. If the cylinder happens to be buried deep inside a machine, then it's going to take some redesign work. I'll also say that in a lot of instances, the OEMs that we're speaking to are already doing electrification, and the form factor of our actuators is very similar to all the other actuators they're looking at. So the design changes that they have to make are in line with the changes that we have to make. And what was the second part of the question?
If you could create full machines as well.
Yes, there are a large number of applications where there's not much more to the application than the cylinder itself. So take an example of flight simulators. Flight simulators have 6 cylinders. They have a metal chassis. They have off-the-shelf controls. So that's something that we could get into, because there isn't that much work that needs to be done. The software is always provided by a third party. So there are many such applications where we see an opportunity for us to start eating the market and winning those verticals one at a time.
Terrific. Thank you so much for your time. Really appreciate it. And for those who want to check it out, we've dropped a link to learn more about them right on Kingscrowd and get the report. And you could also go check out their current raise. One individual did ask in the crowd if a recording will be available of this quarterly demo day. And the answer is yes. We always post them to YouTube, and it will be sent to everybody who has signed up here today. So you absolutely will have an opportunity to review and watch it back and check out any of the pitches that you wanted. Once again, I know there's a couple more questions. Hidden, feel free to go into the Q&A section and answer them via typing if you'd like. But we are going to continue on with Arthur at Haven. Arthur, you are up. The floor is yours.
Thanks, Chris. Give me a couple minutes to share my screen. And here we go. Hi, everyone. My name's Arthur. I'm the co-founder and CEO of Haven. And with Haven, we've created the world's first EMF blocking apparel. We're an HSA FSA approved product and a US Air Force STTR contract awardee. But let me start by defining EMF. EMF are the wireless radiation that are emitted by your devices, such as your cell phone, your computer, your car, your smart home appliances, etc., to communicate with the internet and amongst themselves. And over the last few years, as our lives have become more and more connected, our EMF exposure has increased exponentially, creating a pretty serious long-term health risk. To date, there's been over 2,200 scientific studies that have linked EMF radiation with increased risks of cancer, neurological disorders, and fertility issues. And health organizations such as the World Health Organization or the NIH have started raising the alarm on that topic. The awareness is still growing. Most people don't know about it, but there is about 1 out of 5 US adults today who are significantly concerned about the impact of EMF on their long-term health. And Haven uniquely addresses this need. Outside of just the normal population, everywhere everyone is exposed, some professionals are particularly EMF exposed in the military sector, in the healthcare sector, and commercial aviation as well. All of these, all of the people in this type of line of work are typically exposed to a lot of radiation from the devices of their work environment. With Haven, we've created the world's first solution, and it's called WaveStopper. Think of WaveStopper as the Gore-Tex for EMF blocking. We've created a fabric technology that blocks 99.7% of all radiation from 450 megahertz to 40 gigahertz, which covers all of today's electronic devices. It's protected by 12 filed patents, as well as lab tested and certified with regards to its efficiency. We then take WaveStopper and we turn it into the world's first EMF blocking clothing, backed by science and designed for ultimate comfort. So our clothing is designed to cover your essential organs. We have hats, tops, bottoms, just about anything. And on top of being EMF blocking, they're UV protective, antimicrobial, and they've been designed with the former president of Lululemon to provide the best comfort possible. We've got over 5,000 five-star reviews that hail Haven's products as life-changing. And we also have pre-studies that demonstrate the impact of wearing Haven on your biomarkers, such as heart rate variability, sleep scores, and we've also done some electroencephalogram testing showing the impact of wearing Haven on brain waves. And this impact is being felt by the majority of our customers who, once they turn to wearing Haven and being protected on their daily lives, they don't want to go back to normal non-protective clothing. We've generated over $18 million of cumulative revenues to date. We've been profitable since October, and we've sold over 250,000 of products. So at this stage, we can safely say that Haven has reached product market fit. And we're really very much at the tip of the iceberg right now, as we're creating a new category in a huge market, which is the consumer athleisure market, a $432 billion market growing at a 10% CAGR per year, where the US EMF protective clothing market at scale is estimated to be worth about $86 billion. We have a business model that is very much tiered. Both the brand Haven and our technology have the potential to generate billions of dollars in revenue. Our focus today is on growing the brand and creating the next Lululemon, the next big brand, billion-dollar brand in athleisure with the first health-focused apparel. And the potential to create billions of dollars in value have been demonstrated by Lulu, by Fix, by Vuori, and a number of other brands. And as awareness of our WaveStopper EMF blocking solution continues to grow with the brand, that will open up in the future licensing opportunities for the technology similar to a Gore-Tex model. Very recently, we are actually announcing it today, so this is a perfect call for us. Haven has been awarded an STTR contract by the US Air Force to adapt our technology for under uniform for all EMF exposed personnel, which is a massive $500 million opportunity at scale for the brand. We're just at the beginning of that inflection point. We're projecting to grow revenue to about $110 million by 2027, roughly half split between military revenue and B2C revenue. What's really unique about our team is that we have a unique blend of expertise of engineering, biology, and marketing. I started my career researching the genomic patterns of prostate cancer. And you need such a team in order to build a technology in a company like ours, and in order to turn it into a successful brand. But where we're extremely fortunate is that we've been having incredible investors and advisors who've joined the adventure alongside us along the way, such as Brett Conrad, the former president of Lululemon, Rudy Gobert, who's the best defensive player of the NBA, Dave Asprey, the father of biohacking, and many more. So we're a venture-backed company as well. We've got Science Venture, Sandhill Angels, and Narrative Funds who have backed the company. But our belief is that the next big brands of tomorrow are going to be built hand in hand with their community. And so we're currently extending our last round to our community and the WeFunder community on the platform. You can find us on wefunder.com/haven. We've currently raised over $1 million, and we've got about a little less than 300K left on this round. So if you're interested, I would love for you guys to check out our page and send us any questions you may have. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Arthur. Really, really interesting company. A couple of questions coming through here. For Haven, can you go into more detail regarding your moat and IP? I see there is at least one other company doing silver lining, and just wanted to check on how WaveStopper is different or better than similar tech. Do you have any patents?
Yeah, we've filed about 12 patents that protect the innovation, and we've worked with Cooley on that matter, who's one of the US's best firm. And essentially what we've protected is using our proprietary grid of silver fiber in clothing that surrounds your essential organs. That's the simplified version of it. You will find potentially other companies using silver in clothing. Typically, the way they use silver is more for antimicrobial purposes, and that's why how silver fiber was being used in the past, and still is being used in a lot of athleisure and sports clothing. We have a much higher percentage of silver. About 50% of our clothes are made of silver, and it's woven in such a grid that blocks 99% of radiation.
Terrific. One more question here. What is the degradation of the EMF blocking over time and say when washing the clothes?
That is a great question. We test all of our clothing for all of our fabric batches for 300 washes. And that is about the mark where you'll start seeing degradation. So for someone who washes their clothes on a weekly basis, you have about 6 years worth of efficacy before you'd start seeing a decline, which most likely for typical clothing, you'll have wear and tear that kicks in before the EMF blocking factor diminishes.
Got it. Arthur, thank you so very much. There's a couple more questions in the Q&A. Feel free to answer those by typing those in, and we are going to move on. Alex with Bitterbrains, which is one of our latest Kingscrowd capital investments, currently raising on Republic. You are up. The floor is yours.
Thank you, Chris. Hello, everybody. Okay, hope you can hear me fine, and I will also share my screen. Okay, so hello, everyone. I'm Alex. I'm the CEO and founder of Bitterbrains, where we make developers' lives easier with accessible education, credible certifications, and engaging community events. In 2023, we served over 2 million developers in 156 countries, including many from top companies like Google, Microsoft, Samsung, Adobe, NASA, and many, many more. And we also hosted that year the largest online conferences in our industry. The reason why so many developers and businesses utilize our services is because the software engineering labor market is a lose-lose game. On one side, being a developer is really hard. Developers first have to learn the skills to become a developer, and then we constantly have to keep up with new technologies while running to meet deadlines and solve day-to-day problems, which is really dreading. On the other hand, businesses lose billions every year due to underskilled developers and lack of resources. This list here is some of our most popular products and platforms that we operate today. I started BitterBrains back in 2017 in order to help developers code more efficiently. Over the years, we developed a large community, which we have been supporting heavily by developing more and more products based on their needs and requests. For all these years, our business has focused in only a small niche of developers, which are the Vue.js developers, which are a subcategory of the front-end developers who write JavaScript. Now, due to the massive success we experienced in the end of 2023, we decided to expand our in-house certification platform to support more developers worldwide and become framework agnostic and even language agnostic in the future. And this is how we decided to raise funds. At BitterBrains, we develop effective solutions by working together with our community, and we see stunning results in many of our products. Here from our Vue certification, we see 88% rating our certification exams for successfully assessing skills, and 76% of developers who already use the technology professionally finding their skills improving after completing our programs. For reference, this principal software engineer from Salesforce finds our program as the best certification procedure he has taken. At the same time, creators of some of the largest web developer tools like Vue.js, Vite, and Next find our contribution to the dev community instrumental. During these years, we have achieved some impressive milestones. We have developed a community of over 800,000 developers, and we achieved over $500,000 in pre-orders for our certification programs. To date, we have trained developers from thousands of internationally recognized companies like the ones I have on the screen, and like so many more. Over these years, we have achieved a median organic revenue growth of 70%, with over 100% revenue growth in 2023. And now we are expanding into a large market in EdTech, which is over $140 billion, and it is expected to double in the next 5 years. According to the most recent Future of Jobs report by the World Economic Forum, which was published this January, by 2030, there will be 170 new jobs created, and the software developer and app developers are in the top 3 in the list. So according to the study, technological skills are projected to grow in importance more rapidly than any other skills in the next 5 years. And it is also expected for developer roles to transform so that they will work differently due to the rise of AI. So at BitterBrains, it's becoming our focus to upskill and reskill the developers for this new era, and we anticipate to experience massive growth in the coming years. We plan to invest the funds into accelerating our expansion to the broader development ecosystem, as well as developing new courses dedicated to AI and machine learning. We also plan to focus on marketing and B2B sales, as the technical education market is growing rapidly, and most of these years our growth has been organic from our partnerships and from the free content that we provide to the developer communities. With this raise and our expansion plans, we project to increase our revenue up to 50 times within the next 5 years. BitterBrains is backed by an amazing international team. We are 30 people from all over the world, and we work with industry-leading advisors, and we have exclusive partnerships for offering official courses and certifications. So I invite you to join our mission of shaping the future of developer education together. You can find all the details of the race on republic.com/bitterbrains. And if you want to discuss further, I would love to chat. You can book a call with me directly on cal.link/bitterbrains. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Alex. That was terrific. And we're glad to be investors here at Kingscrowd Capital in your business. So one of the questions coming in here is, okay, you've done Vue, you kind of own that space really well. What do you think the next coding language is? And is there more competition in other coding languages that have been maybe better served in the past?
So for us, the next step in the coding languages is JavaScript, which is the mother and includes all of the frameworks. It includes Vue, React, and Angular. We already started working with Angular. We have the Angular certification that we lost some months ago and is performing really well. It was awesome to see how like a recipe we have for Vue, when we replicate for Angular, it still works great. So we plan to replicate the same recipe now next for JavaScript, which is 10 times bigger than the Vue ecosystem, and then React, TypeScript before we proceed with PHP and backend languages.
Got it. Excellent. Another really good question here. And funny enough, we taped a podcast this morning, Alex and I actually asked the question just like this. Given the challenges faced by some large listed education companies, how will you keep your overhead manageable and maintain margins? What are gross margins currently?
Mm-hmm. So the gross margin for us, like for the products we have, is great. Like it's over 35%. But what we have done at BitterBrains is to constantly reinvest our profit and our revenue in order to develop more platforms and more content. Now that we are reaching like a stable state where we have completed the certification technology, which we expect to be in a very good state in the next couple of months, then it's only a matter of developing more content, maintaining the proctoring costs, and adding more frameworks and like exercises on the mix. So in the longer term, our profit margin will grow like even bigger than 30%. While the cost of producing new certifications will constantly drop for every new one we make, because it's always the same recipe that we rinse, repeat, and improve.
Terrific. And, we've seen in your financials, you've had profitable years, and I think you've really proven that even not at total scale, you've been able to find a way to be really thoughtful about managing your overhead. So good on you for that. And thank you very much, Alex. That was terrific.
Thank you.
Last up, we have Sharon with Healthcare Originals, and Sharon is also one of our latest Kingscrowd Capital investments. We're very glad to have you part of the portfolio, and the floor is yours, Sharon.
Great. Thank you, Chris, and everyone at Kingscrowd, as well as Capital Department, for having us. And so I just want to double check that you're seeing my screen.
Yes.
Okay, great. So as Chris mentioned, I'm Sharon. I'm the CEO and co-founder of Healthcare Originals. And what we do is we transform deep organ sounds into actionable insights that lead to personalized care and improved outcomes. And we're starting with respiratory. It's an $83 billion industry that we're addressing, but our platform technology is going to be applicable across much more than respiratory, and we'll talk through that. Why are we starting with respiratory? Because I have asthma. I've had it all my life. And when I was diagnosed, it took me 24 years to figure out how to live well with this. And even though that was a long time ago, we're still telling people the same things that didn't work for me. They told me that if I took my meds, everything would be okay, but it wasn't. Now, instead of the 24 years it took me to learn how to do this well, we help people learn how to live well, become experts at managing their care within 2 years or less. Chronic respiratory diseases, and we address two of them, asthma and COPD, or chronic obstructive pulmonary disease, are big opportunities for improvement. They present big opportunities for improvement because they're very prevalent across the globe, 690 million people, and outcomes are really poor. Not just deaths, but really the cost of poor outcomes is high. In the US alone, $47 billion is spent every year by people visiting their doctors, visiting the ER, staying in hospitals for asthma and COPD attacks, which are really not necessary. But they're not necessary because the outcomes are so poor. Why are outcomes so poor? They're poor because people are really unaware of warning signs. And that's where we come in. We are the first company in the world to use deep organ sounds to personalize care, and we do it with this wearable that you see here that actually measures all of the important symptoms of asthma and COPD, and we then use that to really get at the core of giving people objective insight into their data. We've been proven in 3 clinical studies at the University of Rochester with 2 published papers in peer-reviewed journals to predict high-cost events. What are those? we predict hospitalizations and ER visits up to 3 months in advance. That's significant not just for the patient and outcomes, but for cost. But we don't stop there. What we do is we take those predictive insights and we roll it up into data-informed digital personal education. And then we add human coaching with respiratory therapists to really hone in the message and help people become experts at managing their care. We have 14 patents granted with 10 pending across the world, and our services are covered under existing reimbursement codes. So let's take a look at how it works and why it works. Actually, an asthma attack or a COPD attack is not the dramatic event that you see. It actually is building up weeks before with these oscillating signals that you see here. And fundamentally, what our wearable does is provide a window of opportunity to see that these things are happening and take early preventive action. Because the problem with poor outcomes is people don't really understand what's going on in between an attack. We breathe 20,000 times a day. So if you had to think about that, you would do nothing else. And what we do is we change the patient experience completely. So we minimize those oscillations and prevent the attack. So that's what we do. We create a future where care is personalized and we have great traction. We have $5.5 million in annual recurring revenue, are on track to keep growing. And that's why we're raising funds, just to fuel this traction. And our outcomes are second to none. 2/3 of our members have no attacks. All of them report reduced wheezings and they have improved sleep. We're the only company in the respiratory space and the only wearable to be validated by the Validation Institute, and they give a third-party guarantee to our customers of $100,000. It's a huge market, as you know already, growing as a 7% compounded annual growth rate, but we can move beyond respiratory to every organ that makes a sound. So consider the use case and the applications. I'm proud to lead a great team that is getting us to this point. This is my first technology that I've commercialized, but my co-founder has great experience in hardware and software. And we have teams from our CMO is from Appeal, as well as others who have led digital health companies. This is a chance for you to get in at an inflection point where we are just focused on scale and traction. We have great recurring revenue contracts, a wonderful pipeline with some big announcements coming up. This round is led by Sapphire Partners. It's a brand new round. And as investors, Kingscrowd has already gotten in. We invite you to get in on the same terms as our lead Sapphire Partners. We're raising on WeFunder, wefunder.com/HCO. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Sharon. That was wonderful. Really appreciate it. First question that came through here is, how do you differentiate different sounds of deep organs from a single point on the body? What is the accuracy? And do you expect, or is there already any competition that might come from other wearables?
Yes. So how we differentiate from a single point is that our device is at one point, but we have more than one sensor on there. And we have great accuracy. The gold standard for detecting cough is a human listener. And we have proven independently through trials that we are as good as a human listener, in some instances better. So the specificity and resolution are fantastic. There are others in the space who are advertising cough. They sit on the neck. The difficulty in wrist-worn wearables is that it's very difficult to differentiate ambient cough from everybody around you with the wearer. And cell phones, you can run apps on cell phones, but they are only good for people who understand that they're coughing. So, for instance, cough detection for COVID, there was an app that was bought by Pfizer for a huge multiple, because when you know you're coughing, you cough into this. Our value is not there. Our value is in continuous monitoring to pick up the subtle signals for people with chronic conditions.
Got it. And how long do the wearables last before they need to be replaced?
So they are rechargeable, and we have had devices in the field for more than 5 years now. We've collected over 3 million data points, so they're very robust. We recommend a 3-year life.
Wow, that's tremendous. Well, thank you so much, Sharon. That was a wonderful presentation, wonderful company. Thank you everyone for joining us today. Now we are going to launch a survey to pick a crowd winner of today's Q1 demo day. So please vote on your favorite pitch of the day, favorite company of the day that you're really excited about, and hopefully you select one that you're thinking about investing in. And I do always say this, and I think it's really important to say, we present these opportunities to help you identify strong investment opportunities, and making these events valuable is saying voting with your dollars, right? And saying, hey, I really believe in this company, and our hope is to be able to bring some of the best of the best to the kind of the top for all of you, and help you identify those investment opportunities. So if you've enjoyed today's presentations, if you're really intrigued by some of these companies, and you do your own due diligence, definitely invest. And we'd love to hear if this helped you decide to invest, because we're constantly trying to find ways we can better engage you and help you make those smart and thoughtful investment decisions. Not that everyone's going to win, but we really do want to help you make those better investment decisions. In a very, very close vote, we have QNetic coming out on top by 1 vote. So major congratulations to QNetic on winning today. We're very glad to have all of you, though. All of these pitches were tremendous. Just wonderful founders, thoughtful founders. I think you've all put together very thoughtful raises, and we're so glad to have each and every one of you on here today and taking the time to be with us. So thank you again, everyone, for attending, for listening, for being a part of this, asking great questions, and to all of the founders for your wonderful pitches. Have a wonderful day, and please do reach out if you have any feedback for us on how we can improve these demo days. We're always looking for feedback on how we can make them better. Thanks, everybody, and have a wonderful day.